Is Jacksonville, Florida actually a good place to move, or are there things you might not be thinking about just yet? If you're considering relocating to Jacksonville or Northeast Florida, there are a few things you really need to understand before you start looking at homes or even narrowing down areas you might be interested in. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what Jacksonville is really like on the ground, how to think about the different parts of the city, and what most people wish they knew before they made the move and set down roots. Hey, I'm Carrie Ann with Let's Be Realty Girl, and I help people relocating to Northeast Florida figure out where they actually want to live without the overwhelm. So let's get started. Jacksonville is big. And why does that matter? Well, one of the first things that surprises almost everyone is just how big Jacksonville really is. It's actually the largest city by landmass in the entire United States. And that means when people say they're moving to Jacksonville, that can look completely different depending on where you land. You could be 10 minutes from the beach or 30 to 45 minutes inland, maybe in a newer subdivision community, or could be a more established historical type of neighborhood. And all of those are considered Jacksonville. This is important because two people can move here and have completely different day-to-day experiences. So before you even think about homes, you have to understand the entire layout of the city and how it will affect you. So let's start with lifestyle, not houses. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make. They start scrolling homes on a random Saturday, and before they've actually figured out how they want to live, they're looking at houses. And instead, you want to ask yourself a very important question. Do I want beach access and coastal living? Or is it a newer subdivision with neighborhood amenities? Maybe it's something more walkable and established. How about a shorter commute? Because in Jacksonville, those things are spread out. You're not going to get everything in one place. So you have to prioritize what matters most to you. And this part matters more than the house itself. So what's next? Cost of living and what to expect here in the Northeast Florida area. Jacksonville is still more affordable than a lot of Florida, but the reality is pricing varies a lot depending on where you want to live. And this is where I see people get caught off guard. So let me give you some real context so you can start thinking about this in the right way. Let's talk about it and break it down. Beaches area, that would include Jacksonville Beach, Neptune Beach, and Atlantic Beach. If you're looking at the beaches, you're typically going to see prices significantly higher than the average Jacksonville home. So right now, you're generally looking at a range at around the $650,000 to $700,000 plus range for a medium home price. And that can go much higher depending on proximity to the ocean, updated versus older homes, and walkability. Some areas are more walkable. So beach living is absolutely a lifestyle choice, but it does come at a premium. So you have to always have that in mind. Let's talk about Nocatee and St. Johns County. Now, this is more suburban, plus all new construction. If you're looking at Nocatee or in St. Johns County, this is where you're going to find newer homes, master planned communities, amenities like pools, water slides, trails, and lots of community events. Pricing here typically falls into roughly the $400,000 to $600,000 range, depending on size and age. And what you're really paying for here is new construction plus that community lifestyle. Now, Riverside and Avondale, one of my favorites. This has got historic charm and lots of character. Now, if you're looking for something with more character, Riverside and Avondale are completely different. And here's what you're going to find. Older homes, tree-lined streets, more walkability to restaurants and shopping. Pricing here is a bit more mixed, and Riverside can be around the high 200s to 300s plus. Avondale typically tends to trend closer to the mid 300s to 400s. But let me say this, condition matters a lot here. Two homes on the same street can be priced extremely differently depending on updates. And if you like a fixer-upper, Riverside is a great option to get in at a lower price point and build that equity. So instead of thinking Jacksonville is affordable, it's much more accurate to think, what does my budget get me in the lifestyle I want? Because beach lifestyle equals higher price. New suburban lifestyle is mid to higher, and historic areas are a lot more varied. And this is why I really want you to hear me out. This is exactly why two people in the same budget family can have completely different experiences here in Jacksonville. Now let's talk about the growth and development of the area. Jacksonville is growing, and that's something you will notice pretty quickly, even on a short visit. There's new construction happening in a lot of areas, really most areas, expanding suburban communities, more people relocating from out of state because everyone wants to be in sunny Florida. And that growth brings opportunity, but it also means some growing pains are common, really common. Traffic patterns can change. Some areas feel more developed than others. Infrastructure is still catching up in certain places where we have just grown so fast. And this isn't necessarily a negative, but it is something to be aware of. So your expectations do match reality. So who Jacksonville works best for? Jacksonville can be a great fit if you're looking for extra space, flexibility in lifestyle, a mix of suburban, coastal, and downtown city options. It works really well for families, upsizing families, remote workers, and people who don't need everything to be super close together. Now, it may not be the best fit if you're looking for more of a dense, highly walkable city everywhere feel, or a more compact, fast-paced urban environment. Jacksonville isn't one size fits all. And that's actually what makes it so appealing to so many different people. So if you're thinking about moving to Jacksonville or somewhere in Northeast Florida, understanding the differences between neighborhoods is one of the most helpful steps you can take before starting your home search. If you're comparing neighborhoods in Jacksonville, you may also want to watch this video upcoming. I think you will really find it helpful. So I'm Carrie Ann, and I'm helping you make sweet moves here in Northeast Florida. Don't forget to subscribe. You deserve a home that fits your life.